if you think about it as the first time that a major Republican figure at the state level, so really a governor, but maybe somebody else could get in the mix, picked a fight with, or rather, I shouldn't say picked a fight, responded to a fight that was picked with him. That's really how this went.
How do you give one theme park its own government and then treat all the other theme parks differently? And so we believe that that was not good policy. We believe being joined at the hip with this one California-based company was not something that was justifiable or sustainable. And so we said we're going to do something about it. And so now we're basically, Disney's going to be treated like SeaWorld is treated, or like any of these others, and that's really the fair thing to do. So I'll be signing the bill momentarily, and that will officially end the self-governing status here in Central Florida for Disney.
The Magic Kingdom, not feeling so magic today, Clay. Feeling like a bunch of other kingdoms, apparently, as you have Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida telling everybody that Disney now has to play by the same rules as everybody else. No more of this special district, administrative district that they were able to have. This is a 56-year-old arrangement. Special tax district is what they call Disney World, a special tax district. So it allowed self-government over the 25,000-acre resort starting since its beginning. So effectively, Disney was its own county in the state of Florida. That's really what it means, as I understand it. So you had Disney County, and assessing its own, assessing its own infrastructure and things like that. And as anybody who's ever gotten on the wrong side of county or local government knows, it can be very annoying and very expensive. So this was a big perk for them. And Clay, I just think that there's a whole lot going on here right now in DeSantis world, as we mentioned. The book, The Courage to be Free, comes out tomorrow. The governor, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, team, they reached out to us over the weekend. I think that the governor will be on with us tomorrow. If not, certainly he'll be on soon thereafter. But I think this is interesting because it's both good politics and good policy, right? I mean, people were saying, oh, no, what's Disney going to do? They're going to move their 25,000 acre theme park to somewhere else? I don't think so. I think that's very unlikely to happen. He points out other theme parks don't have this. So it is an issue of fairness, if we're going to be honest, but it is also a subliminal message or a subtle message. If you decide to get really political and take shots at the governor of not Tennessee, of Florida, you're going to have to deal with the consequences. I think it works on both sides.
Yeah, look, first of all, this was a vestige of when Florida was not the highly desirable place to live that it is today. And so they gave people who remember the story, it's a fascinating one. Walt Disney decides that he's upset because Disneyland was immediately co-opted in Anaheim. Anybody who's ever been there, everybody else put up their own hotels, their own restaurants in close proximity to the park to take advantage of its popularity. So Disney does a big analysis of where could he have a year-round park. They central on this middle part of Florida, which is not very popular at all back in the 1960s. I mean, Ocala, Kissimmee, Orlando was a very relatively small town at the time. Goes up, buys all this land up secretively, and then the partnership between Disney and the state of Florida was massive because of the jobs that he was bringing and, frankly, because of the revolution that Disney let loose with theme parks, whether it's Universal, whether it's SeaWorld. But that has changed. And I would just point this out, Buck. When the Don't Say Gay bill, as it was labeled by people who lost this battle on the left wing, when that battle started to get fought, the easy thing for DeSantis to do, the conventional wisdom that everybody said he should do, is not fight this battle, not take on Disney when Disney came out and their CEO, Bob Chapek, opposed it. Instead, DeSantis went toe-to-toe with Disney, and look at what the results have been since then, Buck. Bob Chapek, the CEO of Disney, has been fired. He is no longer running the company. Disney stock is at effectively a lower price now than it was 9 years ago. And that's disappointing, I imagine, to some of you out there that may be longtime Disney shareholders, although I'm sure you don't like the woke Disney version that you're getting now. I saw it from ESPN and sports, and unfortunately, it's taken over the whole company. And Ron DeSantis went out and won re-election by 19 points, the most a Republican governor has ever won re-election in Florida by. So DeSantis didn't only win, he won, he dunked all over Disney, and he's made them own it. And Buck, unless I'm mistaken, has the new returning CEO from Disney, Bob Iger, made any comments at all publicly on this? Has he said a word? I think that he is afraid and recognized that his team and his company got wrecked. And this is a sign, if you are a DeSantis supporter, this is a design of a fight that he was willing to have with an incredibly powerful foe that he won. And I think it's a really substantive victory. And that's what that's his calling card now.
If you think about it as the first time that a major Republican figure at the state level, so really a governor, but maybe somebody else could get in the mix, picked a fight with, or rather, I shouldn't say picked a fight, responded to a fight that was picked with him. That's really how this went. Ron DeSantis didn't go after Disney. Disney decided to mobilize and start making problems for Ron DeSantis. Let's be clear. What they're saying is, you do what we want, or our money and our sway and our power is going to go to your opponents. We're going to get you fired as the governor, or rather, get other Republicans probably in the state legislature fired unless you do what we want. And so there were consequences to that decision, which I think there certainly should have been. In the book, The Courage to Be Free, DeSantis' new book, he talks about a private exchange with Chapek, where he makes it clear that Chapek didn't really want to do this, which I think is so interesting. He was pushed because of the overwhelming pressure from his own organization. So this is just a window into what we keep seeing, which is it's not just the C-suite, it's not just the names that that are running these companies, although sometimes they're very woke. It is the woke hordes within these companies, right? It's the people at lower levels who will not stop agitating. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a lot of them. They can be little corporate Bolsheviks. They're not a majority. They're just the loudest, the angriest, and the craziest.
I think if you run a company, you have to be very careful that you don't allow these diversity and inclusion lunatics into your company to destroy it from within. And I think, unfortunately, that is one of the lessons of Disney. And I understand there are people out there. I saw this quote from the New Hampshire governor, Sununu, who may throw his hat into the race as well, saying, I didn't like seeing Ron DeSantis going to war with Disney because that's not what small government conservatives do. I disagree completely with Sununu, all right, in that regard, because here's the deal. These diversity and inclusion loons inside of the companies and their allies in left-wing media and politics are demanding that companies take woke agenda policies and apply them unilaterally across the whole company. They are demanding it. So you can either say, oh, no, I don't really agree with that, but as a small government conservative, I'm not going to get involved. Or you can say, let's get our spears, let's have a real fight, right? Let's grab the swords and let's battle. And as a marketplace of ideas guy, as a First Amendment guy, I want the fights to happen. I want the battles to occur in public.
I've seen this a number of times. It's true about fighting back against woke corporatism. It's true about a lot of the COVID issues, even for some Republicans, that small government is really just an excuse to be pusillanimous. You just decide that you're going to be a wimp on an issue, and you go, oh well, that's not explicitly in the I don't know, Federalist number 2729 or no, okay? Would Gavin Newsom hesitate for 1 second to take action against a company that was explicitly conservative and mobilizing for conservative purposes inside of California? Within the confines of the law and his discretion, probably. Right? But yes, he would. We all know that. We all assume that. Same thing with Hochul in New York. Same thing with Pritzker in Illinois. They wouldn't stop for a second. But on our side, it's, oh, we're in charge. Whoa, whoa. Let's not actually fight back. Let's just keep pretending that we're in a neutral space. Let's talk about the neutral space.
I think that's so important. And some of you out there, Buck, when you were out and I went after the Brookings Institute and the New York Times, I got some messages from people saying, why are you even acknowledging them? Why are you even fighting them? My belief is if somebody comes after you, you come after them harder, right? If somebody wants to throw punches at me, I'm very comfortable in the public arena, in the First Amendment space, in the marketplace of ideas, defending everything that we say on this program. So if we get attacked, now it has to be attacked by somebody of size, right? If we're going to be on the front page of the New York Times business section and they're trying to attack our business, claiming that we're misinforming people because of what the Brookings Institute does, I think we're in a new era. I think you have to step up toe-to-toe and throw punches back. And I think all these people out there who are small government conservatives saying, I don't really want to get involved in any of these fights, I think you're losers and you're going to lose.
I just want to be left alone, make-believe libertarianism. I'm going to move off-grid and don't have to engage. And I'm just going to be, by the way, move off-grid, be self-sufficient. That's fantastic. But the idea that you can be entirely non-political, Fauci's, goons are going to show up at your door too. I hate to break it to anybody out there, but you cannot care about the federal government and the federal tyranny. The federal tyranny cares about you. And I think everyone needs to understand that. I think that's critical.
No doubt. And you can, sometimes debate who's going to fight the hardest, but I think the idea of whether Republicans need a fighter or not is not in dispute. We've been saying, and we'll talk about this in the next hour, but I want to kind of toss it out there. We've been talking about the looming Trump versus DeSantis battle. Now, to be fair, I think that Tim Scott is going to run. I think Glenn Youngkin may run. I just mentioned Governor Sununu up in New Hampshire. He may run. We know that Nikki Haley is already in. Vivek Ramaswamy is running. There's a huge list of people that are going to run for President of the United States. And maybe one of them catches fire and it doesn't end up being a Trump versus DeSantis battle royale. But as we sit here at the end of February, preparing for March, Buck, there's an article out there I was reading this morning, I think in the Times or the Wall Street Journal, I'm not sure which one, talking about Iowa, how unsettled it is. We have a lot of you listening in Iowa. First week in January is the Iowa caucus. So the older you are, and I'm getting old, I'm not gonna lie, like 8 months passes in like the time you could snap a finger. So we're in March, and you guys know, everybody out there does, Thanksgiving, Christmas is kind of a dead season. We're going to be at the Iowa fairground, everybody eating, fried Twinkies and talking to the Iowa people before you know it. And this battleground is, I saw where they're scheduled, I believe now, the first Republican debate for August, which even seems to me a little bit late because when you're voting in Iowa in the first week of January right now is when it's scheduled. That seems kind of crazy to me, and I want to get into this in more detail, but I want to tease it and talk about it, the facts here, Buck. Reading from Fox News, Ronna McDaniel says that in order to be on the debate stage with the RNC debates, Trump will have to make a loyalty pledge that he will not run as a third party. And here's the direct quote. We may have the audio of this sooner or later, but here's Ronna McDaniel. We're saying you're not going to get on the debate stage unless you make this pledge. She said it on State of the Union on CNN yesterday. Anyone getting on the Republican National Committee debate stage should be able to say, I will support the will of the voters and the eventual nominee. They're all going to sign it. I really do. I think President Trump would like to be on the debate stage. Thoughts, Buck? First of all, how do you enforce it? Because you can sign anything and then say, well, I changed my mind. So I would imagine that's still out there. But this is a big part of the story as we move forward.
Look, I give Trump more credit than thinking that he would run as a third-party candidate if he were to lose a free and fair primary. I think he loves the country too much to ensure 8 years now of Democrat rule from the White House. I believe that. I would not bet my, well, I don't own a house, but I would not bet my, my last dollar on that.
I definitely would not bet my house
yeah.
on Trump not running as a third
right.
party.
Okay, you own a house. You would not bet your house. I would not bet, whatever is most valuable to me as a possession, because I can't rule it out as a possibility. What I can say is I think that this is going to be used by the left for sure to further antagonize things in the Republican primary. This is going to be a bruising primary. I think a bruising primary is generally to the benefit of the fighter who emerges victorious. I think it would sharpen Trump up if he were the one that emerged as the victor. It would certainly add a whole new layer to Ron DeSantis if he were to push through, or whomever. Vivek Ramaswamy is a super nice, super smart guy. Let's not count anybody out. But we got two main contenders right now based on the polls. I got to say, I think the good news is that it's kind of hard to get on as a third-party candidate if you run as a Republican, just based on what it would require in the ballots in the different states. So he couldn't mount a serious third-party challenge. So he would really only be mounting a spoiler third-party challenge, and that would be the tear the country down option. And I don't believe Donald J. Trump would do that, but I wouldn't bet my house on it.
My concern is Democrats who claim that they're terrified of Trump would do everything they can to bend over backward to get him on the ballot in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, in New Hampshire, in Nevada, in Arizona, the states that are actually toss-ups, just in an effort to drag Joe Biden's basically worthless presidency into a second term. That's my biggest fear here.